Hey, so what's going on everyone, welcome back to another video. And in this video I want to go over is the video going on to the Reverse Flash and just going over a few things relating to his story and what's going to be happening, and the timeline kind of being like an updated video and going over, well, basically just a few things going on to like Reverse Flash and just going over some paradox kind of thing that's going to be happening, or that probably ended up happening, that I'm going to be trying to go down and explain. But basically, before we get into it, if you want to and you're new around here, you can subscribe, leave a like and comment down below. You can do all of that if you want to, and let's just get into the video. So a lot of people have been very confused about this. A lot of people have been very confused since, well, for at least a year now. I know a lot of people have been kind of confused, and every time in the comments everyone kind of goes on and says, why exactly is Reverse Flash not exactly dead? It's kind of difficult to explain, but I'm going to be trying to do it. And if you don't know what the grandfather kind of paradox is, I'm going to go over it briefly to my knowledge. I'm going to be going over what exactly I think it is. And basically, you've probably heard of it. You've probably heard of this kind of paradox before. Basically, it's where someone, if they go back in time, they kill their grandfather, they're never born. So it's kind of confusing in that sense. But if you go back and you kill an ancestor of yours, you're never going to be born. So it makes sense like that. So that exactly is kind of why Eddie, and that's why Eddie ended up killing himself then, and Thawne kind of got erased from existence, considering the fact that he's like a descendant. So it kind of goes on and it gets really confusing around there. So it goes on, that he ended up killing himself and whatever, and he was in Harrison Wells' body at that time, and you got to keep that in mind for a bit. And there is the whole grandfather paradox that kind of takes sense, and it kind of takes place as well. And if the man went back and killed his grandfather, but you kind of have to take it into consideration where you have to put in Eddie in kind of like Eobard's shoes. So if you take in consideration if Eddie goes back and he ends up kind of killing himself and he ends up doing all of that, which he done back in like the ending of season 1, Eobard is technically erased. Like, it's kind of confusing in the sense that it's like really confusing to kind of go on and explain, but Eobard is technically killed off. Like, he is technically dead in this timeline, but it kind of goes on to the fact where it's going to go on and create like a different kind of timeline, and it's going to be really confusing in the sense that, and it's going to be kind of confusing in the fact that Eobard isn't going to be technically like killed off. He isn't going to be technically dead, whereas Eddie isn't going to be technically dead. They're going to be living in a certain timeline, basically an alternative timeline, which is like kind of Flashpoint, but it's kind of different, I guess. But basically, you go on and it kind of applies in the whole TV kind of universe, and it basically brings up as to why exactly Reverse Flash isn't dead. And with the whole fact of it kind of being like Legends of Tomorrow season 2, I'm pretty sure, if Eobard goes back and he grabs like a time remnant, or if he goes back and he grabs a past version of himself, technically if he scattered them all across of time, like if he just scattered multiple versions of himself across time, he would be, if he ever got killed off, basically he'd be able to come back with that person. So it's kind of like really confusing in the sense that he's never going to be technically full-on killed off, but he's technically killed off in some sense. Like, it's really confusing to kind of go on and explain. But if Eobard does end up technically dying off in whatever like timeline, it's going to create like an alternative timeline where he's not going to be dead. So that exactly kind of goes on as to why he's going to be showing up so much, why exactly he does show up so much, why exactly everything kind of ends up happening, why he shows up so often. He's going to be having an arc this season. It kind of makes a bit of sense for him to kind of show up, and if he didn't, it's going to be maybe where they explain it this year. I'm not too sure if they ever would. But the whole fact of dealing with the whole timeline and everything and how it's going to be different, it's really confusing, and even on the TV show it'd be really confusing to kind of explain. But I'm pretty sure it's explained back maybe in season 2 by like Harrison Wells. Earth 2 Harrison Wells, by the way. So I'm pretty sure he ends up trying to explain it, but it's still very confusing to a lot of people. It's still very weird to try and go on and explain. It's very difficult to kind of go on and explain. But basically what you want to take into consideration, that if you want to break it down more, if you just want to kind of summarize it, it's basically where Eddie is going to kill himself, Thawne's going to be erased, but it's going to create like an alternative timeline where they never actually ended up dying or never ended up doing anything like that. So it is technically he's alive all the time, but it's really confusing to kind of go on and explain. So that's been pretty much it for the whole video. So I hope you went on to enjoy it at least somewhat, and I'll have a video probably post later on. Maybe on Arrow, maybe on Supergirl or Legends, I'm not too sure yet. But either way, I'm going to have a video post, and you can stick around and watch that if you want to, and hope to see you in the next video and everything. So, subscribe if you want to, leave a like and comment down below. Hope you have a great day and everything, and goodbye.